Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television, and we're broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. We're looking at the aviation sector on the program today, and I've been having this conversation with the Director, Commercial and Business Development of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, Adeniyi Balogun, and also I'm joined on the program live from our Abuja studios by a pilot, Bala Naala. Thank you so much, Bala, for sticking around. Well, Adeniyi, let's just look at. Recently, Nigeria signed a bilateral air service agreement with Israel. Could you shed more light on this, especially on its potential benefits to Nigeria?
Bilateral air service agreement, which we call simply BASA, is an agreement between two countries, and essentially is supposed to open up, the economic frontiers, bring about, an inflow of, traffic, passenger, cargo, business, FDIs, foreign direct investments, from one country to the other. And at the end of the day, you have mutual benefits, according to both parties. And one way by which you appreciate what it means, to have a BASA is, let's look at in the last 10 years, Nigeria was, we did not have Emirates coming into Nigeria directly from United Arab Emirates into Nigeria. So when we signed the BASA with them, they now started coming, to Nigeria. And you can imagine what had happened in the last couple of years between Nigeria and United Arab Emirates on the economic platform. You now find that Emirates, has 2 daily flights coming into Nigeria. You have a lot of Nigerians going to UAE from one business or the other. They have interest there, and you have their own businesses also coming into Nigeria by way of foreign direct investments. So that's how you feel the mutual benefits on both sides. So if you now come to Israel, in the last couple of maybe 30, 40 years, we've been having a relationship with Israel as government. We have been having a relationship with Israel as an economy. But we have been going to Israel or coming to Nigeria via so many other routes. Maybe if you take Europe, or you take another part, but we are not having direct, relationship.
So this agreement will definitely open that.
This agreement will open up the frontiers. Then you have inflow and outflow, both sides, and then you have businesses, coming up, transactions coming up, and before you know what is happening, it will open up the economy of both countries in terms of that agreement. What is key for us that we are always mindful of is that when we are signing the agreement, we are concerned about how it brings advantage, to Nigeria. So that's why we are trying to more or less and look at to ensure that there's a balance, both ways.
Well, Bala, let me quickly come to you on this one. There's this ongoing debate, if you'd like to call it that, over the recent announcement by the federal government to float a new national carrier. Now, we know that globally, governments are divesting as much as possible away from key industry, and aviation industry is one of such key industries, and that major airlines are merging and seeking strategic alliance to stay afloat. Now, some say we don't need a national carrier, and that the federal government should not be in the vanguard of promoting a national carrier. Do you share this view?
Rather, I share the contrary view, that we need a national carrier. I'm going to give you some statistics that will shock you. There is an airline today that has sold ticket in this country worth 25 billion in 1 year. I want you to understand that. Now, assuming we have a national carrier that can keep 40% of that money within the country, how many jobs will it have provided? That's one question. So we need a national carrier, but how do nations come up with national carrier? Is it the way to start normally, and it's done all over the world, is to take the example of Ethiopia, for example, take the example of United Arab Emirates, take the example of Qatar. Then you can now succeed in bringing what you can call a national carrier. But if you decide to pick people's money, and then by way of government intervention, and then you buy aircrafts, and then you decide that the person to manage that aircraft should be the cousin of one person or the other, and then the first thing he does is to say he needs a guest house in Lagos, needs a guest house in Kaduna, and then the national carrier collapses, then you are not making any progress. So that is why people are a bit skeptical about establishing a national carrier. But let me be honest with you, if Nigeria is to establish a national carrier, Nigerians being known generally as travelers all over the world, it will do a lot of economic good to the country. The last time I was coming from Ethiopia, the entire aircraft was fully booked. There was not a single seat. If you aggregate the amount of money that has been spent on that particular, and then you say maybe that will have been by either Nigeria One or Nigerian Airways or whatever it is, the money will be in the country, and therefore people will benefit in one way or the other from that country. I will give you an example. Take the two pilgrimages that we do to Israel and Mecca, and look at the amount of money that the various governments of the states spend in servicing those air services, and take half of that and keep it in the country, and tell me how the economy will not grow. So I'm not really an architect of saying that we need a national carrier. National carrier is a fundamental requirement of any serious nation.
Well, Bala, just hold on to your thoughts. We'll get back to you. Adeniyi, you mentioned while we're having this conversation earlier, this Aerotropolis.
Yes.
How soon are we expecting to see this start?
Oh, it's on.
It's on.
The Aerotropolis is the airport city development. And we started last year. We've had land leases granted to those who applied for them, who submitted proposals for from the private sector, taking advantage of the opportunities that the airport city development or the Aerotropolis project brings on the table. And so we as we speak now, we have in Lagos a number of developments that are coming up, and very shortly they become visible. We have the multi-story car parks, in the cargo area, what we call the NACO area, in the GAT area, at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Abuja, and in Benin, and a number of other airports. We also have hotel facilities that are coming up: 5-star, 3-star hotel in Lagos, in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, in Calabar, in Owerri, and those who are interested in them are brought into them by way of not only just applying and submitting the documentations, but also paying for the and submitting their drawings. So it's work in progress. We expect that in the next couple of months, Nigerians will start seeing the benefits of the Aerotropolis, which essentially is just to bridge the gap between the airports and the cities, and then create new business enclaves within the airport environment.
Well, interesting developments in the sector, but what are your expectations for this year, apart from this Aerotropolis that we're looking forward to? What other, excuse me, what should Nigerians be expecting from FAAN as a regulator of the airports?
FAAN is committed to providing a delightful airport experience, from customer service to service provision in all aspects, in all the terminal buildings. We are concerned about providing quality services for the private sector, for the private airlines that are running charter services and private jet businesses. As we speak now, we have developed a GAT terminal building specifically for the private airline aircraft owners in Abuja. We're also looking at doing that in Lagos and replicating in a number of other airports. For us, we are hoping that by the end of this year, we'll be generating revenue that will be close to about 55 billion. With that, we'll be able to meet our services, meet our obligations to our suppliers and to our staff, and then free ourselves as much as possible, from the burden of having to go to the National Assembly for, appropriation, etc., that kind of thing. And that, of course, that money that used to come to aviation will now, be more or less, applied to other sectors of the economy.
Well, Adeniyi, you comment on this, if you will. I just got this tweet from Olusegun Ogunyemi. He says, what is FAAN doing on the tax placed on airfare?
The tax placed on the airfare is a worldwide issue. It's something that is account-based. It's not something that we are doing on our own. Is what you call fees or payments that the airlines pay us, or those who render services at the airports pay us for one thing or the other. And since 2002 that we got the approval for the tariff that we are using now, we've not improved on them, we have not increased them. So that's how we are on that one.
Okay. Well, Bala, let's just quickly get your thoughts as we wrap up the show. What are your expectations for the aviation sector for this year?
Well, my expectation for the aviation sector is for those charged with the responsibility of running the affairs of the aviation to understand the fact that aviation is much more than revenue generation for the parastatals that are running the industry, but that it is an economic weapon for the country, and therefore policies that are going to come out from government must be consistent and stable enough to encourage foreign investment into the country. And therefore, we do not want a situation where what has become a matter of policy today may not be the same as tomorrow or next tomorrow or whatever. So it is important for us to crystallize whatever position that we have so that our international partners can predict reasonably what the situation will be when they are within our airspace or our airports or whatever. That's one. And then two, I expect that there should be a deliberate attempt to promote general aviation, which is fundamental and basic for the development of safety at the airline level, which has been neglected for so long by the country. And most importantly, we expect that government will do whatever is humanly possible to ensure that there is continuous dialogue and consultation with stakeholders in bringing policies and programs of government in the sector, because it's such a huge sector that does not admit of one person sitting down somewhere and claiming to have exclusive knowledge of what is good for the country and what is not good for the country and then bring it. It's not done anywhere, and this is our expectations.
Well, thank you so much, Bala, for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure having you on the program. We do hope to have you in other editions as well. Have an interesting day. Well, I've been speaking with Bala Naala. He's a pilot, and he joined us live from our studios in Abuja. And Adeniyi Balogun, Director, Commercial and Business Development of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. He joined us also on the program. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the program. It's been an interesting conversation, and I'm very sure Nigerians are going to be eagerly looking forward to all the developments and all the things you've talked about on the program today coming to fruition. Thank you for coming.
That's our promise. Thank you very
And we'll
much.
hold you to it.
Yes, I promise.
Well, that's the program for today. Thank you so much for watching. It was a midweek edition of the program. It was also interesting because we got to understand so many of the ongoing projects and developments we see at the airport. And then, like Bala says, it's more than revenue generation. Policies must be put in place, policies that will also encourage more investment and continuous dialogue with the necessary stakeholders in the sector is very important to ensure that everybody is on the same page. I'd like to also thank Segun Ogunyemi, who sent in his tweet. That's the program for today. I'm Harriet Agbe.